You're welcome. No problem. Declaro abierta.
I call to order the special meeting of the Economic and Social Council on harnessing artificial intelligence for the Sustainable Development Goals. I now invite the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, to make an opening statement. Madam Deputy Secretary General, you have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take the opportunity to thank Ambassador Narváez, the President of the Economic and Social Council, for inviting me to be part of this important event. Our world is grappling with complex challenges, from conflict and climate change to our chronic poverty and rising inequalities. We all know that the 2030 agenda towards a more equitable, resilient and sustainable future is woefully off track. Today's topic on how to harness artificial intelligence for the SDGs cannot be more timelier. Applied safely, it can accelerate progress towards the SDGs, enhance decision-making, and drive innovation. It can and it must. This is not a future dream, but today's reality. AI is already optimizing energy use, improving medical diagnostics, monitoring biodiversity, expanding educational opportunities, and so much more. Many of you are seeing the benefits of AI across all sectors in your countries. Yet these technologies also pose grave risks. They can displace jobs, exploit gaps in global governance, and exacerbate bias, discrimination, and misinformation. And they can do so on a monumental scale. Excellencies, our task is to harness this powerful technology to accelerate sustainable development while mitigating its harms. This means accountability for those who create AI systems and for those that use them. The power, speed, and impact of AI is truly global, and accountability must be part of the package. To do this, we must ensure that AI is effectively governed, that it is equitable, accessible, and ethical. First, on equity, it is essential that we have an equitable access to all AI tools, applications, and infrastructure, including quality, data, and computational resources. Equity also requires capacity development and technology transfer. We cannot allow all the benefits and opportunities of AI to be concentrated in the hands of those who already are way ahead. We cannot allow the digital divide to widen. Second, it is essential that AI is accessible. That means that skills are developed through education and lifelong learning, particularly for vulnerable groups, to ensure that they are not pushed further behind. It also means individuals and societies using this technology to advance employability and seize the opportunities of new jobs that will be created by AI, rather than passively allowing AI to replace jobs. And it means adopting collaborative approaches that align responsible development with solutions that would respect diversity of cultures while promoting locally generated data. The data commons is one example. To help us get there, governments must invest in digital infrastructure, support new business opportunities, and leverage the data that they have for economic use in their countries. This should go hand in hand with training for government officials and reskilling programs for the broader workforce. Third, it is imperative that AI is ethical and transparent. We cannot simply take current AI models and data sets which have bias and discrimination baked into them and hope that they will rescue the SDGs. We need inclusivity in data that underpins these models and diversity among the people that are building them. Fourth, we need effective governance. This requires a shared sense of responsibility. I welcome the urgency and ambition of the zero draft of the Global Digital Compact. What we need for this compact is more ambition, not less, and we need member states to adopt a global perspective beyond narrow national interests. I'm encouraged by the potential of the high-level AI advisory body and the Global Digital Compact, as well as by the AI safety initiatives that are being developed at regional, national, community levels by our agencies. The Global Digital Compact must accelerate the application of ethical and diverse AI tools to solve the challenges facing the SDGs. I urge member states to be ambitious in these negotiations and to engage fully and actively in global conversations on AI governance. while advancing a common understanding. It will take a concerted and a coordinated approach from governments, businesses, civil society, and international institutions to develop responsible, ethical, and inclusive AI governance. We must ensure that standards are common, that regulation is harmonized, and that human rights are at the core. As we look to September's Summit of the Future here in New York, we must recognize that an open, safe, and secure digital future can only be achieved through international cooperation. What we are seeing with AI is only the beginning of more technological advancements. Developments in quantum computing, biotechnology, synthetic biology, and advanced robotics will continue to transform our societies in a significant way. We need a global conversation on the best way to leverage these technologies to advance sustainable development for all. Let us get the SDGs back on track and close the digital divide by safely harnessing technology opportunities for those who need them most. I urge Member States to make the most of this opportunity and make that vision a reality in people's lives. Together, let's build a world where AI and other technologies will serve the entire humanity and leave no one behind. Thank you.
Doy las gracias a la
I thank the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. Your Excellency, Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Director of DESA, distinguished panelists, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. I would like to warmly welcome you to this special meeting of ECOSOC on harnessing artificial intelligence for the Sustainable Development Goals. Today's meeting is an important starting point to explore the convergence between artificial intelligence and sustainable development. Our objective is to provide a platform to foster innovative solutions using artificial intelligence to promote the implementation of SDGs, while we seek to promote the understanding of ethical and responsible practices that are necessary for development, deployment, and use of AI to ensure equitable and sustainable results. We find ourselves at a crucial moment in the evolution of technology. This period represents an important turning point where artificial intelligence is remodeling, reshaping our current world. Its transformative potential is tremendous. Once it was confined to the realm of research, but now AI permeates our societies and our daily lives. It's an instrument that could help eradicate poverty, predict agricultural yields for sustainable agriculture, and to diagnose diseases. It could optimize logistics, promote industrial innovation, forecast climate trends, improve education, and help in managing renewable energy resources. These examples of the capacity of AI highlight the significant responsibility that accompanies this tremendous potential. Given that this technology promises to overcome barriers and offer new solutions and ways for sustainable development, it's very important to carefully consider its social, economic, and environmental implications. Concerns such as algorithmic bias, privacy of data, loss of jobs, inter alia, highlight the critical need for ethical and responsible frameworks of governance for AI that put priority on human rights, equitability, and sustainability. It's extremely important to acknowledge that the generalized adoption of AI in efforts at sustainable development could exacerbate existing inequalities if it's not accompanied by safeguards and appropriate interventions. There's a risk that these intelligent technologies expand the digital gap because access to the tools and resources fostered by this technology could be distributed unequally among populations, regions, and countries. Currently, the development of artificial intelligence presents a geographic bias with data that is strongly bias towards certain regions. This creates a vicious cycle where new models perpetuate the information bias because they lack context to represent areas that are underrepresented, especially of the global south. Similarly, women continue to be underrepresented in development of AI, which leads to risk of gender bias in this area. Currently, only about 30% of women are working in AI. To address these challenges effectively, close the digital gap, and promote equitable participation in the area of STEM, especially for women, priority should be put on inclusivity and representation, guaranteeing that all voices and all perspectives are taken into consideration. Also, it's extremely important to maintain the integrity of information in digital spaces, and to avoid that AI is used to disseminate false information or manipulate public opinion. This requires the establishment of robust governance frameworks that not only regulate the use of AI, but that also promote its responsible and ethical application for the benefit of all societies. There's no doubt that artificial intelligence could be a valuable asset to advance towards the goals of the 2030 agenda, but its potential should be harnessed through approaches that put priority on governance centered on the human being. It's extremely important to guarantee that the benefits of AI are shared among all segments of society. As we focus on responsible and inclusive development of AI, we can convert this technology into a powerful instrument to achieve our objectives and effectively address global challenges. Your Excellencies, as representatives of governments, academia, civil society, and industry, we are united in our mission to promote the cooperation, exchange of knowledge, and to chart the path towards a responsible deployment of artificial intelligence to advance in the Agenda 2030. The approach of this meeting is focused on two separate panels, one on governance and another on concrete examples of the use of AI to advance in SDGs. The panel on governance hopes to deepen debates regarding regulatory frameworks, political policy considerations, and the necessary international cooperation to guide the development of AI towards responsible and ethical outcomes. Addressing challenges of governance is very important to ensure that technologies of AI are aligned with human rights, protection of privacy, and social values. Secondly, concrete examples will be highlighted of AI applications for the advance of SDGs, thus exhibiting initiatives from the real world that take advantage of this technology to have a positive impact. By examining these practical cases, we can learn valuable lessons, identify best practices, and inspire greater innovation and harnessing of AI for sustainable development. The combination of these panels will offer a comprehensive perspective on the potential of AI and will underscore the importance of balancing innovation with ethical considerations to achieve equitable and sustainable results for all. Our discussions will also be part of a broader conversation that will go beyond the confines of this room. Will include consultations on the Summit of the Future, the Global Digital Pact, and the recent resolution of the General Assembly on the harnessing of opportunities offered by safe AI systems that are protected and trustworthy for sustainable development. Resolution 78/265. I would invite all of you to take this voyage where the hope is intertwined with pragmatism. While we know the challenges and risks, we also must anticipate and build together a future in which artificial intelligence genuinely benefits all of humankind. Thank you very much.
Con esto concluye el segmento.
This concludes the opening segment. I briefly pause the meeting for the podium to be rearranged, and I invite the panelists for the discussion on governance, artificial intelligence, and SDGs to take their seats on the podium. Please remain seated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, we shall now hold the panel discussion on the topic governance, artificial intelligence, and the SDGs. Let me congratulate the President of ECOSOC for her leadership in organizing this meeting. The panel that I'm chairing is dealing with governance for artificial intelligence. AI has the potential to be a game changer for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. However, while AI offers immense potential, there are also risks and ethical concerns that need to be addressed through good governance. Frameworks and regulations are needed to ensure AI is developed and deployed ethically, considering privacy, bias, and transparency. And there is no better organization than the UN to lead on that. I commend the Secretary General for establishing the AI advisory body. It has already published a very relevant interim report and emphasizing the importance of governance and what it needs to entail. Governments need to ensure everyone has access to the benefits of AI and that technology doesn't exacerbate existing inequalities, and how to leave no one behind, as DSG mentioned in her remarks. With the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact that are currently being negotiated, we have a unique opportunity to address all these challenges and find best solutions to move forward. I'm sure that our panel today, composed of esteemed experts in this area, will touch upon all these issues. I see that panelists here seated in front of you are men. However, virtually we will be included also some women. Now, I'm pleased to welcome the distinguished guest speakers joining us for this discussion. I'm also pleased to welcome the moderator, Mr. Thomas Lamanauskas, Deputy Secretary General of the International Telecommunication Union. I look forward to an interesting discussion, and I now turn over the floor to the moderator to conduct this presentation. Mr. Lamanauskas, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, Your Excellency Shimonovich. It's indeed a pleasure to introduce and moderate this panel. And of course, congratulations and appreciation to President Narváez for convening this very important session today. So, indeed, Excellencies, distinguished guests, panelists, ladies and gentlemen, the astounding rise of AI has sparked intense policy conversations. It's also rapidly working its way into our daily lives. Generative AI, propelled to the public consciousness with the launch of ChatGPT nearly 18 months ago, triggered people's fears of a future dominated by machines akin to the scenes of The Terminator. But the evolving reality of AI is more complex. With appropriate guidance, ever more powerful AI systems can be part of a hopeful vision for the whole world, but not without some challenges to address. Reports about AI use in warfare are obviously troubling, and misinformation, deepfakes, and systemic biases have become serious risks in every society now. Nearly half, about 45% of AI systems perpetuate old-fashioned gender bias. And the potential for using AI systems to manipulate elections is scary, especially in a year when nearly half of the world's population is voting. On top of those risks are, of course, significant environmental impact. However, focusing solely on risks overlooks the vast opportunities artificial intelligence presents. Generative AI, for instance, could add approximately $4.4 trillion to the global economy. AI solutions could also help mitigate an estimated 5 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Power of AI can help transform healthcare, climate monitoring, and disaster management, agriculture, road safety. These are, by the way, just a few areas on which we, ITU, have specific initiatives together with our sister agencies, WHO, WIPO, WMO, UNEP, UNDRR, FAO, UNSC, and others. In all those ways, AI can accelerate progress on the SDGs, but only if everyone can benefit from the power of it. And it brings us to another risk of AI revolution, a risk of leaving a lot of people out of it due to the widening global divide. And the risk is very real. About 2.6 billion people, or 1/3 of humanity, still lack any internet access. AI economy and patents are concentrated in a handful of nations, which exacerbates this gap. AI divide has many more faces. This divide extends to digital skills, representation of AI data sets, as well as the acute AI policy divide. Nearly 60% of countries that responded to our recent survey had no AI strategy, while 83% lacked AI regulations. This is a key challenge that needs to be addressed if we are to harness AI for sustainable development goals. A lot is already being done, including by the United Nations family, which is working as one on this, preparing the world to embrace AI safely, inclusively, and sustainably. For example, take the Interagency Working Group on Artificial Intelligence, which I have a pleasure to co-chair with UNESCO Assistant Director General Gabriela Ramos. The white paper produced by this Interagency Working Group, or UN System White Paper on AI Governance, which was endorsed and published just last week by UN Chief Executive's Board for Coordination, identifies more than 50 existing UN instruments relevant to AI governance. Those include broad normative instruments like the AI ethics recommendations from UNESCO and human rights guidance from the Office of High Commissioner of Human Rights and the Human Rights Council, as well as sector-specific instruments guiding AI use in healthcare, law enforcement, and more, as well as, for example, protecting the rights of children. ITU has also published or is currently developing more than 200 technical standards applicable to AI. Further work, of course, continues to refine the governments, first of all, through the deliberations of already mentioned body, that is United Nations Secretary General High-Level Advisory Body on AI, as it prepares recommendations for international governance of these technologies in the lead-up to the UN Summit of the Future in September, with a Global Digital Compact expected to be agreed as one of its key outcomes. The AI governance discussions will also take place at this year's AI for Good Global Summit, happening in Geneva from 29th to 31st of May, which brings over 40 UN agencies together with a rich plethora of other stakeholders. And this year, we're dedicating one special day, 29th of May, specifically to AI governance. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to introduce this distinguished panel of experts today who are superbly placed to provide insights on how to ensure that AI governance enables us to harness this powerful technology for SDGs. And we'll have 4 panelists. We'll have Her Excellency Ms. Carmen Artigas, co-chair of the Secretary General's High-Level Advisory Body on AI. She will join us online, as I understand. We'll have Mr. Elliot Minchenberg, UNESCO representative to the United Nations and director of the UNESCO's office in New York, sitting here as well on the podium. Mr. Jim Balsillie, founder of the Balsillie School of International Affairs and former chairman of and co-CEO of Research in Motion, and the firm that gave us the BlackBerry, as some of us probably proud users in the past very well know, one of the first, probably the first smartphone that popularized this use. And of course, next to me is Mr. Karan Bhatia, Global Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google. So, of course, we'll look forward to hear the perspectives of these distinguished experts. And we'll start with Ms. Artigas. I hope she's online, yes, I hope so. So, Ms. Artigas, so what are the main challenges that countries face in regulating AI technologies, and how can the Secretary General's High-Level Advisory Body on AI support countries in overcoming these challenges while fostering innovation? Please, Carmen.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this great panel. As you have posed the question, it's important to know that regulating AI technologies presents several significant challenges for countries globally. The first challenge when regulating AI is find the right balance between innovation and regulation. So one of the primary challenges is creating a regulatory framework that promotes safety and ethical standards without stifling innovation. The second challenge is global coordination. AI technology operates on a global scale, transcending national borders. This creates a challenge in standardizing regulations across different countries with varying legal and ethical norms. The third challenge is the rapid pace of technology advancement. AI technology evolves at a rapid pace, making it challenging for legislation to keep up. By the time laws are drafted, debated, and implemented, the technology landscape may have already changed significantly. So we need to define legal frameworks that are future-proof. Important other challenge is ethical and societal implications. AI technologies can have profound impact on privacy, security, employment, and inequality. And addressing these impacts requires thoughtful regulation that considers long-term societal outcomes. Last but not least, technical expertise and capacity. Many countries lack the technical expertise and resources needed to effectively regulate complex AI technologies. And this can lead to regulations that either are uninformed or over-reliant on industry inputs. The high-level advisory body on AI was formed to analyze and advance recommendations for the international governance of AI. And we talk about governance, not only legislation, because our vision is comprehensive, included ethical frameworks, risk management frameworks, but also societal impact and capacity needs. So this is not taking place in an institutional vacuum, because all our job is based on existing best practices, on a gap analysis of what the existing UN agencies are already doing, and also taking into account the different national initiatives and also the industry initiatives. An important part of our role is creating awareness of the need of a global governance, because we have already identified there is an important global governance deficit, because there is a very important distance between those who develop the technology, those who apply the technology, and who is responsible, who is accountable for. So we see an important need to create awareness and accountability mechanisms. We have defined some important principles, and I would just highlight the need that AI should be governed inclusively by and for the benefit of all, and that must be governed in the public interest and should be built in step in data governance, common data commons, and it must be universal, networked, and rooted in multi-stakeholder collaboration. Also, we want to emphasize that AI can and should be deployed in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. But doing so cannot rely on current market practices alone, nor should rely on the benevolence of a handful of technology companies. It should be framed globally to promote these larger and more inclusive objectives, and also be able to identify the incentives and the trades-off. At this point of our work, we are already working not only on the principles of governance, but on some forms. So we are working and will continue working in the sense of promoting solutions that facilitate international cooperation. We consider that the UN system must act as a platform for fostering global dialogue and cooperation on AI, not only on regulation, but also in technical standards, interoperability, and also in ethical and risk management frameworks. We think that it is important that we address the need for capacity building, especially for the Global South, and that would include training programs, sharing of expertise, providing technical assistance, but also data processing capabilities, cloud, computing capacities, and talent. And last but not least, I think we need to address in an urgent matter the need for monitoring and reporting, providing updates and insight of the latest developments from the scientific consensus on opportunities and risks, because there are a lot of opportunities too that we must be able to capture as a whole humanity. By addressing all these challenges, I think we will be much more prepared to navigate the complexities of AI while promoting a safe and innovative technological future for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carmen, for this very insightful comments and for presenting the work of HLAB, or High-Level Advisory Body on AI. Indeed, we're looking forward to its final conclusions later this year. So the next speaker will be Elliot Minchenberg from UNESCO. So Elliot, I would like to ask you to tell us more about ethical guidelines and frameworks that UNESCO advocate for in the development and deployment of AI technologies, and ensuring that their deployment aligns with the human rights and dignity. Please, Elliot.
Thank you, Thomas, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. It's actually not the first time that the world and the UN are confronted with the challenges and the opportunities of new technologies. Since the 1980s, UNESCO stepped forward within the UN system to address pressing concerns at the time related to the ethical challenges of science and technology. And this led at the time to adoption, for example, of a series of normative instruments on Declaration on the Human Genome, for example, in 1997, and then subsequently the Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights in 2005. So we do have experience in addressing these issues. And from UNESCO perspective, we firmly believe, and that was said by previous panelists and the chair of the ECOSOC, that only strong ethical safeguards can amplify the benefits of AI technologies while reducing the risks. And for instance, AI holds immense potential in revolutionizing education through personalized learning approaches, tutoring, and curriculum development, yet AI can exacerbate the digital divide and reinforce educational disparities. And ensuring ethical and responsible use of these technologies is therefore crucial, with a priority on inclusion and equity. Progress in AI must benefit all, not just the advanced economies. And to your question, this is why UNESCO engaged in 2019 on developing a global instrument on the ethics of artificial intelligence. After 2 years of extensive multi-stakeholder consultations and governmental negotiations, the recommendation on ethics of AI was adopted by 193 member states of UNESCO in 2021. And this is, until now, the first ever and only global normative instrument on ethics of artificial intelligence. Now, just to say a few words about the recommendation, it aims, as you mentioned, at ensuring that digital transformations promote human rights and contribute to the achievement of the SDGs, addressing issues around transparency, accountability, and privacy, with action-oriented policy chapters on data governance, education, culture, labor, healthcare, and the economy. It defines 10 common principles, which will guide the construction of the necessary legal infrastructure to ensure the healthy development of AI. And these principles include, among others, safety and security, sustainability, the right to privacy and data protection, fairness and non-discrimination, and multi-stakeholder and adaptive governance and collaboration. Now, the recommendation is complemented by 2 tools which aim at assisting to its implementation and operationalization. The first tool is the readiness assessment methodology, which supports governments in identifying gaps in different dimensions related to their country's AI ecosystem, including the legal and regulatory, social and cultural, economic, scientific, and educational and technological gaps. The RAM, so the Readiness Assessment Methodology, is currently being implemented already in 50 countries from all regions of the world, from Morocco to Chile, from Slovenia to Thailand. And we hope that many other countries will join in this assessment methodology. The implementation of the recommendation and the RAM also entails the establishment at the national level of a steering committee comprised of the ministers engaged in AI, along with the private sector, academics, and civil society. And this contributes to shaping and strengthening the country's national AI strategies. In addition, the scientific community is also fully mobilized to assist with this process. We have established a group of AI Experts Without Borders network that aids at the operationalization, again, of the recommendation and support governments in providing expertise in this field. All the data collected are analyzed and gathered from this RAM and are gathered in an AI governance observatory that will help also having a global mapping of the status of the countries. The second tool that was included in the recommendation is a tool that is directed to the private sector. It's the Ethical Impact Assessment Tool for AI. It helps private companies to assess whether specific algorithms are aligned with the values, principle, and guidance set up in the recommendation. It also ensures transparency by calling for information about AI systems and the way they are developed to be available for the public. In the same vein, a Business Council for Ethics of AI has been established as a collaborative initiative between UNESCO and companies involved in the development of and use of AI. Every year, UNESCO also organizes now a forum on ethics of AI. The last one was held in Slovenia and gathered over 1,000 participants from around the world. It brings together governments, private sector, civil society, academia. It serves as a dynamic platform for exchanging best practices among countries at different stages of technological and policy development. It promotes dialogue between the countries and private sector representatives, academia, and others. And it's important to note that so far already 8 global tech companies have committed to integrate the values and principles of the UNESCO recommendation when designing and deploying their AI system. That was signed in Slovenia at the last Forum on Ethics of AI. Now, last point I would like to stress is that throughout these mechanisms and structures, UNESCO engage actively with all the different entities of the UN system. As Thomas said, we work as one UN on this. And together with ITU, as was mentioned, we co-chair the interagency working group on AI, which involves 45 UN agencies to coordinate AI activities across the system. And as was mentioned again, the group issued a white paper, which we strongly encourage you to read, as it provides a very useful mapping of what the UN system is doing on this issue. We are very pleased to see that AI is taking a more prominent place on the UN agenda. And this week and this meeting, I want to thank again the President of ECOSOC for organizing it today and drawing the international community's attention to this critical topic. It is particularly important at this period of when member states are discussing the Global Digital Compact. From UNESCO perspective, we see this compact as a key opportunity to strengthen the structures and mechanisms that I've just referred to and which are in place. Time is of the essence. We must act swiftly to keep pace with the rapid advancement in these technologies. And I look forward to hearing your comments and reactions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elliot. It's indeed great to hear about specific instruments and tools that UNESCO is developing to advance AI ethics and other aspects of responsible AI development. And of course, it's a pleasure always to collaborate with you on this work within the UN system. So our next speaker will be Jim Balsillie from Balsillie School, and as I already introduced. So Jim, what are the key ethical considerations that should guide the governance of AI technologies, especially in areas like data ownership, algorithmic transparency, and accountability? Please, Jim.
Sorry. Esteemed representatives and distinguished delegates, thank you for the opportunity to participate today. I'm a tech entrepreneur who believes in innovation and capitalism, but they must be governed if we are to secure beneficial outcomes. To quote a recent NIST report, without proper controls, AI systems can amplify, perpetuate, or exacerbate inequitable and undesirable outcomes for individuals and communities. With proper controls, AI systems can mitigate and manage inequitable outcomes. To better govern AI and data, we need to understand the economics that underpins it. The rapid evolution of technology over the past 35 years has ushered in a new era where the wealth and power from owning valuable intellectual property and controlling valuable data and AI engines. As shown in the slide, IP data and AI are now the world's most valuable business and national security assets, soaring in value compared to tangible assets. The emergence of the data-driven economy over the past 20 years has led to natural monopolies and the ensuing economic concentration due to its features of economies of scale and scope, network externalities, and information asymmetries, posing challenges for competitive markets and business dynamism, as well as sovereignty for smaller nations. Patents are measurable indicators of innovative output, directly impacting wealth and power at both the firm and nation levels. Advanced innovation countries have focused on owning and protecting those assets, then embedding them into international trade agreements, particularly since the WTO's TRIPS agreement 30 years ago, which arguably marked the birth of the globalized knowledge-based economy. There is also a global race underway by large firms and nation-states to own critical AI IP by filing AI patents, as shown in the WIPO chart on the left. This alongside the chart on the right showing consumer willingness to embrace new AI products. But note the quote from recent research. While there might be positive effects stemming from the globalization of IPR appropriation in terms of stimulus to inventive activities, there are doubts whether this delivers the expected results in terms of equality and shared prosperity. After TRIPS, patenting in Latin America became even more concentrated in foreign applicants. Thus, rather than contributing to higher innovation rates by developing country firms, these agreements appear instead to reinforce patent monopolies by leading international firms. Because AI, IP, data, and AI have public good characteristics, the strategic considerations around data and AI must involve values, wealth generation and distribution, competitive markets, privacy, health, democratic processes, national security, and more, making knowledge and data governance the most important public policy issue of our time. Note the quote from a U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee report 50 years ago, warning that new technological systems of manipulation and behavior modification undermine self-determination, the source of individuality, which is a mainstay of freedom. How prescient, given the contemporary harms, some of which I summarize on the right side of this slide. These harms are a downstream effect of the undermining of human rights in an information era. It's time to update the UN's 1948 Universal Declaration of Rights to include digital information area rights to reality, knowledge, agency, privacy, self-representation, community and culture, and political participation in democratic self-governance. A stable system for the digital data economy requires 4 core elements: safeguard national security in the digital era, enable fair access to new factors of production in the intangible economy, protect and enhance citizen welfare in non-economic realms like privacy and democracy, and comply with international commitments under various treaties and agreements. Resolving these elements together with national-level implementations will preserve sovereign capacity, social values, and allow for a fair shot at the economic benefits. In closing, I have 3 recommendations for a path forward. 1, create a digital stability board that supports national approaches with advocacy for regulatory cooperation and coherence on best practices. 2, structurally address the need for fair diffusion given the nature of winner-takes-most economics and the cross-cutting effects that lead to strategic behavior. And 3, avoid gaslighting, such as focusing on existential risks that are undefinable, unquantifiable, and indeterminate. Thank you, and I look forward to the dialogue to follow.
Thank you very much, Jim, and really appreciate you outlining the risks, including drawing our attention to the most important risks addressed now, rather than, as you say, looking at gaslighting, suggesting some rights framework to look forward to, and of course, proposing some very specific recommendations. Let's really appreciate that. So I think our last panelist is Karan Bhatia from Google. So Karan, I would like to hear your insights. How can governance frameworks be adapted or enhanced to effectively support AI applications for sustainable development? And how can international cooperation and collaboration be fostered to ensure that AI technologies are deployed responsibly and in alignment with the pillars of sustainable development? Please, Karan.
Thomas, thank you very much. I want to also thank the ECOSOC president for convening this today, Ambassador Simonovic. Thank you for your work. And I also want to commend the broader work of so many in the UN system right now on this topic. In particular, the HLab interim report that came out, I think, was very insightful, and we look forward to seeing that work proceed. Look, to answer your first question, how do we think about the potential of artificial intelligence to address the sustainable and promote the achievement of the SDGs? Truly, we think it is enormous. We look around at the greatest challenges facing the world today in the area of sustainable development, whether you want to talk about food security, healthcare, climate change. AI, we believe, can be that sort of quantum step forward that enables achievements that otherwise may not be achieved. And so we are deeply optimistic about its potential. At Google, with our mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful, it has a particular resonance, the achievement of this, putting the AI to work in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And day in, day out, we are working in partnership with UN and UN institutions to try to help that become reality. Just to take one example, right now in Africa, we are partnering with the FAO to develop an AI model that predicts locust breeding grounds. Using historical data and environmental factors. It's an enormously challenging prospect. But with the benefit of AI, we've been able to provide early warnings, empowering farmers to take proactive measures and protect their crops. There are many other examples I can provide, but long story short, we believe this is a dramatic opportunity. Our polling of markets around the world repeatedly confirms that actually those that are most excited about the prospects of artificial intelligence are in fact in the developing world. It is people who realize and see the opportunities that AI presents to address fundamental needs and challenges. So clearly a lot of opportunity. There is a risk, though, and we see this quite evidently, that uneven global adoption of AI could widen the gap between developing countries and developed countries. And to mitigate that risk, we deeply believe that governments need to invest in responsible AI development and governance so that we can harness this technology to create safer, smarter, and more prosperous societies, leaving no one behind. We believe that at the core of the AI governance challenge is three things that need to be undertaken. The first is to adopt the right risk-based proportional approach to regulation and governance. Google has said that AI is too important not to regulate, but it is also too important not to regulate smartly. Regulatory frameworks that assess AI risks based on their potential impact, tailoring regulations accordingly to avoid unnecessary burdens on innovation and research are absolutely critical to allowing the benefits of this technology to be captured. Secondly, we need data access for innovation. We need to incentivize the building of models that understand the local needs and opportunities of the markets around the world in which they are going to be deployed. To that end, we need to promote privacy and copyright frameworks that enable the responsible use of publicly available data for AI training and development while respecting legitimate rights. And number three, we need global collaboration on standards. We need to promote international cooperation on technical AI standards to create the common foundation for regulation and to avoid the fragmented approaches that we have seen too many times in too many other areas of technology that will indeed hinder innovation. So with respect to the first question that you posed, Thomas, that's sort of my thoughts. With respect to the second, how can international cooperation and collaboration really be fostered to achieve the ends that I'm describing? I think I would give a few thoughts. I think the first is it starts with getting the right people around the table. Clearly, that involves governments and international organizations, but equally critically, the private sector needs to be at that table. The technology that is being innovated today largely is being driven by and in the private sector, and not having private sector engagement at the get-go, at the design of the governance structures, means that they will be at best misplaced and possibly at worst counterproductive. So I would add that. I would also say that we need the right priority placed on this within governments, where we have called on governments, international organizations, and development agencies to make AI a core pillar of national development plans, including by committing the necessary funding for that. These, the combination, we believe, of these two things will then support the third, which is truly partnership, innovative, creative, nimble partnerships to bring AI to life. And let me just flag a couple of examples here before closing. One would be the work that we at Google have been privileged to do in partnership with the United Nations on the UN Data Commons for SDGs. Effectively, what this has done is it has allowed the compilation of very disparate forms of data to be able to come together, to be integrated, to utilize artificial intelligence to be able to query that data in ways that give new insights into how we are doing on the Sustainable Development Goals, the metrics and the achievements. It's quite an innovative tool for those of you who have not had a chance to explore it. I would urge that you do so. A second example is the work that we have done on with the World Meteorological Organization and other UN agencies on flooding, on predicting floods. One of the most challenging things that one has discovered, that we've discovered, is being able to accurately predict where riverine flooding is going to occur each year. Well, with the application of Google AI technology married with WMO data has allowed us to come up with amazingly innovative models to predict where floods are going to happen each year and to get early advance warning to the communities and the citizens that are impacted. So these are the examples of sort of partnerships that we think can exist between the public and private sector, provided that there is that sort of early engagement, getting people at the table, there is the right set of regulatory and other frameworks that are going to allow us to achieve these and other goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karan. I think this panel is a good example that UN is responding to your call to include private sector.
Thank you, yes.
I think that's one point already. And of course, thank you for our optimistic outlook here as well, and highlighting a lot of those partnerships. I think is a good note to conclude the initial remarks on, indeed, on the not only think about risks, but also think about this potential and optimistic scenarios as well. And of course, being from ITU, I couldn't agree more on the importance of collaboration standards. So it's indeed the area that we are ready to work and continue working on. So with that, I would like to pass the floor back to His Excellency Ambassador Simonovic to guide our interactive dialogue. And of course, we'll be ready to make some notes at the very end. Thank you very much.
I thank Mr. Lamanauskas for very able handling of this panel. I now open the floor for the interactive discussion. We have had excellent panelists, but we are short of time. I would like, therefore, to remind speakers of the time limit of 3 minutes for interventions in order to give everyone who wishes to take the floor an opportunity. Group statements can be 4 minutes. So for the ones wishing to take the floor, the microphone will be just given when you press the button. So we shall first hear from the discussants for this panel. I first give the floor to Her Excellency Maritza Chan, Permanent Representative of Costa Rica. Ms. Chan, you have the floor.
Dobro, Iván. Agradezco a los panelistas por sus...
I thank the panelists for their presentations. I want to highlight 4 key points. First of all, AI governance means different things, but we can address its multiple dimensions simultaneously. Consider the analogy of cars and driving. We regulate drivers and enforce traffic laws to ensure road safety. Similarly, in artificial intelligence, existing systems are like unsafe cars that pose risks. Thus, prioritizing the safety of AI systems before widespread use is crucial. This approach reduces risks and opens up opportunities to achieve sustainable development goals. Now, secondly, we need to take into account that automatic apprenticeship is inherently political. It's a narrative. This is why it's imperative to intentionally and meaningfully include the perspective of women at all levels of the development of artificial intelligence. Without the full participation of women, no SDG will be successfully implemented, and our attempt to achieve sustainable development will be unsuccessful. Second, there is a glaring gap in AI technology on the global stage. This is a crucial point because, as our discussions during the Global Digital Compact negotiations have shown, there is a lack of consensus on recognizing this gap. While we have institutions and mechanisms to promote AI access and capacity building, such as the ITU, UNDP, UNCTAD, UNESCO, and others, We lack effective solutions for overseeing AI research and development in the private sector. Our current multilateral systems are insufficient, and this gap is not exclusive to artificial intelligence. It applies to all emerging technologies. Thirdly, it's extremely important to bridge this gap. It requires fresh structures and innovation. Recycling outdated models from the past won't suffice to address the rapid and private sector-centric challenges posed by emerging technologies. Therefore, we must grant ourselves the time and the courage needed to envision alternative approaches. These are fundamental issues, and that they lie at the heart of the Global Digital Compact and extend far beyond it. We must address technological development, not only its impact on peace and security, human rights, gender equality, and development. The Global Digital Compact is the foundation. But in this compact, the global majority, not the global south, have a fundamental role to play in this process, and we will ensure that it's both ambitious and action-oriented. Thank you very much.
I thank very much the distinguished representative of Costa Rica. And I next give the floor to Ms. Shia Gopal, representative to the United Nations in New York for the International Organization of Employers and co-chair of the Business and Industry Major Group. You have the floor, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished guests, I'm representing, as you said, the International Organization of Employers, which represents 50 million companies through its employers' federations in 150 different countries. Of these companies, most of them are SMEs in developing economies or in LDCs. Our members are all concerned about the challenges, but at the same time, the opportunities linked to the deployment of AI. My comments today are based on a recent study we had undertaken in consultation with our members. With regards to the questions around governance frameworks, I'd like to highlight 3 challenges for employers. Employers recognize the complexity of algorithmic management. Policymakers are concerned with the potential problems when designing, developing, and launching algorithms for the purposes of work-related monitoring systems. These systems are meant to promote increased productivity, which is currently estimated to increase between 0.2 to 3.3%. It's also to enhance work-life balance. Therefore, maintaining confidentiality in algorithm formulas is essential to preserve intellectual property rights with some degree of transparency. Cybersecurity is critical in the workplace. With AI expanding, cybersecurity and data management in the workplace have become more challenging and such a relevant area for potential policy action. With AI, there will be job losses, but there will be job creation. And that's expected with all disruptive technology changes. But policy changes are needed for a just transition, both in jobs and income opportunities for all individuals globally. The ADECA Group has done a survey in advanced economies where it stated 46% of workers are currently getting training on AI. But we need to bring employers, governments together where we can together take youth and older workers and give them reskilling opportunities and promote a culture of learnability. Concerning the questions of AI being harnessed to promote inclusivity in a human-centric manner, for employers, what's required? We need ourselves to promote a culture of innovation, elaborate our AI strategy within our organizations, invest in knowledge and skills development for workers and the future workforce, evaluate ethical risk assessments of AI tools, and implement transition programs for the workforce and have open dialogue with the workers, the employers, all stakeholders. However, we do need governments. We need good governments that work in tandem with good, smart policies and regulation. Employers are looking to governments for policy recommendations in the following areas. General risk mitigation should be given more prominence, particularly in respect of conducting periodic risk assessments and developing appropriate contingency plans, including investments in suitable cybersecurity infrastructure. Governments also have a responsibility in terms of facilitating digital literacy programs across all levels of society. This will ensure that its citizens are better prepared for the realities of working in an AI-based workplace or economy. Lastly, providing unemployment relief support, social protection, or other types of retraining or employment programs for workers who are in transition. Finally, the key to success of harnessing AI is social dialogue, with all parties at the table building multi-stakeholder partnerships. Local skills councils, such as in Germany and South Africa, are excellent examples where public and private sector come together to jointly decide on AI within the skills agenda. No doubt that AI is an area where there is huge potential, but we must leverage the expertise of all to succeed and be exclusive so that we leave no one behind. Thank you.
I thank very much Ms. Gopal. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Burundi, speaking on behalf of African Union.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Thank you, Chair, President. Mr. President, I have the honor of delivering a statement on behalf of the African Group. We thank you for convening this important debate, which highlights our collective efforts to harness AI to foster economic growth and equitable development for all. We see great potential for developments of societies and economies, as well as expanding opportunities and tackling challenges in developing countries. AI governance ought to adopt a balanced approach that aims to promote sustainable socioeconomic development that is inclusive as well, while addressing challenges and risks and guaranteeing equity in development, as well as the deployment of AI technologies, which is essential for providing technology opportunities to all nations, especially developing nations. The African Group underscores the importance of building a transparent international environment that is equitable and non-discriminatory, as well as cooperative for AI. This effort ought to increase representation and the influence of developing countries in global AI governance institutions. It's important to increase representation and make the voices of developing countries heard when it comes to AI governance. AI technologies used in workplaces must comply with international and national labor standards in order to promote rather than undermine decent work and social justice. We underscore the importance of professional and technical training and education to mitigate the potentially negative impacts of AI on employment. The improvement and conversion of professional skills are essential, as well as social protection programs in order to protect workers from the potentially harmful effects of digitalization. It's crucial to promote international cooperation through an international process led by the UN on AI governance. We ought to carry out a comprehensive review of potential impacts of AI on sustainable development. In addition, capacity building, technology transfer, and technology assistance are all crucial for allowing developing countries to make use of AI. The rapid progress of AI technologies pose unique challenges to developing countries, and they risk expanding the digital gap, which could hinder our progress toward achieving the SDGs. It is crucial to establish national governance frameworks that guarantee human monitoring and control to harness AI and prevent it from spreading hate speech, extremism, and intolerance. the African Digital Compact is still being examined. We are determined to ensure that it turns into an important tool to provide a structural framework for Africa's digital transformation. We also support the current discussions on a global digital compact to guarantee that AI and other technologies foster a safe, equitable, open technological future for all. We also have proposals to create an international scientific group to study AI under the aegis of the UN. This panel will provide impartial assessments based on scientific data on the risks and opportunities provided by AI, which are crucial for crafting policy and for informed governance. In closing, the African group is aligned with the current continental initiatives, including the African Free Trade Zone. We've remained committed to a future in which AI not only supports but also accelerates equitable growth and sustainable development throughout Africa. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Burundi. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Germany, to be followed by the distinguished representative of Israel. Colleagues, please note that given the limited time available and in order to hear from all those wishing to take the floor, the microphone will be automatically muted when 3 minutes elapse. Germany, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you very much to all the distinguished panelists for their excellent contributions. Excellencies, we think there's great potential in AI for sustainable development. Through targeted capacity building and knowledge exchange, the German government works with partners to design and use AI technologies. 2 practical examples. With Indonesia, where government authorities are enabled to use AI-powered automated analysis of satellite data for forest protection, thereby contributing to the protection of the climate and biodiversity. And with India, where pests pose a significant challenge for smallholder cotton farmers, where the AI-driven Cotton Ace app uses automated image analysis to help farmers identify pests in their cotton fields early on and provides them with immediate recommendations for countermeasures. We see great value of public-private partnerships to leverage AI for the public good, for example, with tech startups and technology-oriented research. At the multilateral level, Germany has been a founding partner of the UN Complex Risk Analytics Fund, CRAFT, to invest in high-quality data and has helped to build a multi-stakeholder data and AI ecosystem for data-driven crisis anticipation. Germany also supports the development and protection of strong human rights language on AI governance. Together with 38 like-minded partners of the Freedom Online Coalition and as the chair of the Task Force on AI and Human Rights, we work on strengthening joint diplomatic action and high-level awareness raising on human rights implications of AI. To conclude, Germany believes today's event is an excellent sign of cooperation towards safe, inclusive, and human-centric AI governance and looks forward to the further discussion about the potential of AI and emerging technologies to accelerate the achievements of the SDGs. Thank you very much.
I thank the distinguished representative of Germany, and I give the floor to Israel, to be followed by El Salvador. Israel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for the opportunity to comment on this important panel. And personal thanks to the panelists for providing us with important information necessary for our discussions here on the Global Digital Compact, the different AI resolutions, and many more. Mr. President, Israel is among the world's leaders in artificial intelligence, ranked 7th overall on level of investment, innovation, and implementation, and 2nd per capita, a testament to its strong focus on R&D as well as innovation. Innovation is a cornerstone of our economy and society, reflecting a persistent drive to explore new frontiers. The key role of AI within the Israeli innovation ecosystem is reflected in the 2,200 Israeli AI-based companies in diverse sectors, such as healthcare, energy, food, and agriculture. We are pleased to share with you some of our priorities as outlined in Israel's National AI Program, which aims to develop a long-term AI strategy in a fast-evolving world. Our strategy is to capitalize on Israel's entrepreneurial spirit, multidisciplinary collaborations, and innovative culture in order to leverage AI for societal and economic change. We aim to outline a path that balances technological advancement with ethical, human-centric, and safe practices and responsible innovation. We joined the call for inclusive international cooperation in the governance of AI systems, and in that regard, we are happy that the Council of Europe finalized in March this year a draft framework convention on artificial intelligence. Israel took an active role in the negotiations alongside partners and friends from across the world. We recognize the importance of efforts to develop regulatory and governance approaches to AI systems, and we believe in international partnerships on these issues. Regulation should be gradual and incremental, considering that the technology we aim to regulate is evolving and that we are still assessing the challenges. Regulation should also support innovation and promote societal and economic benefits. We would also like to share with you that Israel has developed its national program of policy on AI regulations and ethics, which is already being implemented by sectoral regulations. I would like to emphasize the importance of adopting a regulatory approach that is both flexible and supportive of innovation in artificial intelligence. This approach, which is characteristic of the Israeli perspective, aims to facilitate and encourage the application of AI technologies towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and promoting AI for good. It is crucial to recognize the challenges that may arise from rigid and restrictive AI regulations, which could potentially hinder such beneficial uses despite their substantial potential to benefit society and the environment. Furthermore, an important topic for discussion could be the relaxation of regulatory frameworks, specifically.
I thank the distinguished representative of Israel, and I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of El Salvador, to be followed by Uruguay. Due to the high number of inscriptions received, the list of speakers is now closed. No further inscriptions can be accommodated, but of course you have opportunity after the next panel. So please, El Salvador, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, and thank you to the panelists. For El Salvador, the choice of innovation and digitalization is one of our greatest priorities. We are seeking to generate transformation and necessary solutions in economy, modernizing government and its services, and to ensure the well-being of our population based on a human-centered approach. We acknowledge the rapid advance and development of artificial intelligence, as mentioned, although we observe how its benefits and development have been concentrated in a small number of countries and private actors. Harnessing of this has not taken place in a way that allows to leave no one behind. With this in mind, in spite of the fact that this progress has not been generated in an equitable way, given the nature, functions, capacities, and opportunities of these technologies, we support the various initiatives underway to develop a governance that is coordinated, inclusive, multidisciplinary, and adaptable. This one that takes place at different levels and in a complementary way with different efforts. This governance and various actions must be compatible with international law, consider an approach based on human rights, particularly promoting the protection of the right to privacy and a special attention to the needs of the most vulnerable. At the same time, and to address in a holistic way existing gaps, this governance should confront significant needs and persistent inequalities, especially of developing countries, and important aspects such as the development and access to quality digital infrastructure, capacity building, education, and digital education and literacy, especially for young people and women, and provision of financing and investment in innovation and connectivity. In El Salvador, we've undertaken an ambitious long-term attempt to fully harness the benefits of digitalization, including by creating new legal frameworks and digital ecosystems that seek to promote innovation. Finally, we believe that various efforts in the area of governance should continue promoting an inclusive and participatory approach where the needs of developing countries can be considered as a matter of urgency, which is why we'd like to acknowledge the important contribution that the United Nations is making for these aims. Thank you.
Representative of El Salvador. And I now give the floor to distinguished representative of Uruguay, to be followed by China. Uruguay, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to thank you for convening this meeting, and I'd like to thank the panelists and the experts from Geneva who we had an opportunity to listen to yesterday as well. First of all, we share various comments that have been made by those who spoke before me, especially from my region, and we support the points mentioned by the permanent representative of Costa Rica as well as by the colleague from El Salvador. For my country, emerging technologies that not only involve AI are a priority of the current administration, and we're working very intensively to achieve empowerment in our country in terms of governance. And as you all know, this not only means governance at the level of the United Nations, but it requires a reevaluation and better coordination, but also a governance at the level of our countries, which are somewhat a bit lagging behind in terms of digital technologies, which have been developing very rapidly. In the past 20 years, they have only recently appeared on the agenda of our governments. When we speak of governance of emerging technologies and how this can impact advances of SDGs, I think it's important to discuss international cooperation and capacity building in different forms. The linkage and coordination regarding artificial intelligence must be done in a responsible way in line with the needs of sustainable development. This means using best practices and focusing on ethical aspects, and particularly the needs of developing countries. And the governance frameworks should be adapted, improved in order to effectively support the use of AI for development. This includes development regulations and policies that promote transparency, responsibility, and transparency in decision-making. As far as ethical considerations, we must be guided by initiatives aimed at achieving sustainable development, including the principles of equitability, justice, etc., as we recently saw in the summit that was organized in Estonia by UNESCO. We understand that these should be considered in multilateral discussions, including the Global Digital Compact and its annex. Furthermore, they must be reflected at the national level. The mechanisms that are established to ensure that access to information will advance implementation of SDGs must take into account the minimizing negative environmental impacts on others. The microphone has gone off. The speaker was reading her text at top speed.
Distinguished representative of Uruguay, I give the floor to distinguished representative of China, to be followed by Argentina. Uruguay, you have the floor. Sorry.
President, global governance of artificial intelligence, a common task faced by all countries, bears on the future of humanity. It is imperative that the international community come together to collectively advance global AI governance, making sure that AI can better enable the achievement of SDGs. We should uphold a people-centered approach and the principle of developing AI for good, continuously making AI technologies more secure, reliable, controllable, and equitable, and ensuring that AI is always under human control. We oppose the use of AI to disseminate misinformation, interfere in the internal affairs, undermine the sovereignty, or maliciously obstruct technological development of other states. We should stand by true multilateralism, guarantee the full and equal participation of all countries, in particular developing countries, and increase the representation and voice of developing countries in global AI governance. China supports the UN to serve as the main channel in this regard and supports all parties to formulate an international AI governance framework with a broad consensus based on the principle of broad participation and consensus. The Global AI Governance Initiative proposed by China last October can provide useful reference for international discussions and rulemaking. We must stay focused on development, continue to bridge the digital and intelligence gap, help developing countries to strengthen capacity building, and carry out international cooperation and assistance so as to better leverage AI to enable sustainable development and enhance the common well-being of all humankind. Though the world has witnessed rapid development in AI technologies, people in most countries, especially developing countries, have yet to truly benefit from such development. Developing countries generally expect to strengthen international capacity building cooperation in AI. Taking into account the aspirations of the vast number of developing countries for the equal development and the use of AI technologies and the sharing of the fruits of AI technology, China, together with other member states, have recently submitted to the General Assembly a draft resolution on strengthening international cooperation in capacity building in AI, with the aim of promoting the building of a consensus among all parties to further improve the global governance of artificial intelligence under the framework of the UN and to help developing countries to equitably share the fruits of the development of AI so as to ensure that no country and no one will be left behind. We look forward to the active support of all parties for the draft resolution. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of China. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Argentina, to be followed by Indonesia.
Emergencia de un sexto continente.
A digital continent that is intangible and that is not linked to any territory. Mr. President, the discussion on governance of artificial intelligence is just at its incipient phases to advance into a definition of governance that allows us, on the one hand, to fully exploit the potential of artificial intelligence in achieving sustainable development. On the other hand, addressing the challenges and dangers that are related to it. Now, the Advisor on Artificial Intelligence has presented a report that addresses some of these questions and identifies key tasks on which we need to advance and generate consensus. These include international cooperation, promotion of development and development of talents, access to infrastructure, compiling quality data, as well as quality public assets with the help of AI. International cooperation can help ensure that countries from around the world benefit from applications that support sustainable growth. International cooperation and interoperability between governance frameworks are essential for the development of responsible artificial intelligence. The organizations such as WIPO and UNESCO and others are working on these topics and are seeking policy frameworks that take advantage of the opportunities and potential of artificial intelligence. We believe that it's premature to advance in establishing specific organs with regard to governance of AI. Past experience points to this. We should also avoid overlap of functions or discussions of the same topic in different forms, because this clearly disadvantages countries with fewer resources. Furthermore, It could lead to an excessive representation of developed countries in these forums and undermine the legitimacy of the global consensus on issues of artificial intelligence. We further believe in the importance of working in international forums such as the United Nations and promoting compliance with the governance standards by transnational corporations and other actors. To conclude, I'd like to note that any agreement on regulations or governance of artificial intelligence should seek to ensure an ethic and inclusive artificial intelligence. The microphone has been switched off.
I thank the distinguished representative of Argentina. Dear colleagues, it's not me who is cutting you off, it's the artificial intelligence. I now give the floor to distinguished representative of Indonesia, to be followed by India.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, our delegation wishes to thank you for the initiative of the special meeting today. AI has emerged as a technology offering huge potential to help countries achieving the SDGs. With rapid acceleration of its development, as we are aware of, AI also comes with risks affecting people and society in many ways. While the world has recognized the two sides of AI, the fact remains that neither the benefits nor the risks of AI are equitably distributed, with developing countries foreseen to be most impacted. Indonesia itself has been benefiting from the use of AI in many sectors. We have developed our national strategy on AI, focusing on priority issues, including health services, bureaucracy reform, education and research, food security, as well as mobility and smart city. We believe that AI will continue to become the catalyst and enabler of accelerating the achievement of sustainable development, including on sustainable growth, generating jobs and income, which are aligning with today's theme. However, on the other hand, AI also presents various challenges and risks, such as biases, unequal level of digital literacy and skills, and there are also potential risks of the misuse of AI that could negatively impact and undermine democratic values, for instance, from misinformation and disinformation. In this regard, we wish to highlight three key way forwards to further harnessing the AI. First, closing the digital divide. Attracting the investment to the AI will be a crucial step in helping the cause. This will enable more accessible and affordable digital solutions for people, including those in rural areas. Second, improving AI governance. This will help ensuring that AI systems are designed and deployed with ethical considerations such as privacy, fairness, and trust. Third one, building AI capacities. Designing and developing AI, particularly with regards to data, computing power, and talent, is critical for developing countries, including in Indonesia. Indonesia welcomes strategic partnership to leverage our immense potential to be the hub and center of excellence for AI development in the region, including as one of the fastest growing countries in digital economy and use of internet and digital technology in the region, opportunity to tap into digital talents for AI development with 274 million population and recent government's policy in reskilling and upskilling. To conclude, strengthening the global digital cooperation and the global governance on AI will be critical in the next years. Indonesia looks forward to the further discussion on harnessing the AI, such as the Global Digital Compact, to embrace the new era where AI contributes towards a prosperous and innovative world. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of Indonesia, and I give the floor to the representative of India, who will unfortunately be our last speaker. I am apologizing, but I also can prioritize the ones who were not given the floor for the next panel. So, India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please allow me to begin by thanking you for convening this meeting on a very topical issue. India sees artificial intelligence as a kinetic enabler to leapfrog traditional development barriers and catalyze large-scale. India has long recognized the power of AI to address our most pressing social and economic challenges. In 2018, Government of India unveiled the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence, which laid the foundation for harnessing this transformative technology at national level. In 2021, Niti Aayog drafted the Principles for Responsible AI, which outlined ethical considerations for AI systems, including safety, inclusivity, privacy, transparency, and accountability. These principles guide the responsible governance of AI in India. Mr. President, India has a distinct brand of artificial intelligence leadership founded on a well-defined vision, that is towards the development of responsible AI for all. It is aimed at enhancing and empowering human capabilities to address the challenges of access, affordability, shortage, and inconsistency of skilled expertise. AI for All also focuses on effective implementation of AI initiatives to evolve scalable solutions for emerging economies and to tackle some of the global challenges from AI's perspective, be it application, research, development, or responsible AI. At the recently concluded New Delhi summit, G20 members agreed to cooperate on enhancing international governance of AI to unlock its full potential. Furthermore, in our role as the Council Chair of the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, we are committed towards the development of safe, secure, and trustworthy AI grounded in the principles of human rights, inclusion, diversity, innovation, and economic growth, so as to extend opportunities for growth through our economic ecosystems, particularly for nations in the Global South. India also hosted the 3-day summit in New Delhi, which brought together all stakeholders, including government delegations from GPI member countries, global AI experts, policymakers, industry leaders, startups, and academicians. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of India. I thank the moderator for skillfully guiding our discussion. I also thank our distinguished guest speakers for their contribution and delegations for participating in a very productive exchange of view. Unfortunately, due to high interest in the topic of the discussion and time constraints, it was not possible to hear from all those who wish to intervene. It's a solid proof that we must have these issues more often on our agenda and provide more time for their discussion. I can inform you that Google AI sprinters reports are available on the tables by the doors. I briefly pause the meeting for the podium to be rearranged, and I invite the panelists for the discussion on real-life examples of AI contributions to the SDGs to take their seats on the podium. Please remain seated meanwhile.
Dear colleagues, we shall now hold the panel discussion on the topic real-life examples of AI contribution to the SDGs. I am pleased to welcome to the distinguished guest speakers joining us for this discussion. I am also pleased to welcome the moderator, Mr. Amandeep Singh Gill, the Secretary General in Envoy on Technology. And I look forward to an interesting discussion, and I now turn over the floor to the moderator to conduct the presentation. Amandeep, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for the kind introduction and the opportunity to moderate this panel. We will try and not bore you with more AI, try and bring some concreteness to this discussion. And I'll keep my introductory remarks short. We have an excellent, outstanding panel with us, and I'm sure you're as eager as I am to hear from them about these concrete examples, real-life examples, of how artificial intelligence can contribute to progress on the SDGs. So from where I sit as the SDGs Technology Envoy, and given these two very important processes that are unfolding, the negotiations on the Global Digital Compact in the context of the Summit of the Future, and the deliberations of the Secretary General's high-level advisory body on AI, this is an interesting and important moment on how we govern AI. And governance here is not only about managing the misuse, the risk dimension, but also preventing misuse, so not missing out on the opportunities that AI offers. So this is a broader view of governance that we take in the UN, and very glad to see that a similar view is being taken in many other capitals. In my recent visits to China, to the European Union in Brussels, similar approaches are happening out there. So we are in sync at the UN, in sync with what member states are thinking about, how they are thinking about governance. And in the context of the SG's high-level advisory body, you've seen the interim report. There's been an update to member states, and the members have looked at what are the opportunities, what's the concrete evidence. There's a lot of hype in terms of opportunities. Sometimes use cases are presented in a random manner without any evidence about what's the marginal utility of using AI in a particular setting. And they are presented in a random manner without reference to scale. And scale in the AI space is hard unless you're talking about very market-driven, platform-oriented use of AI. And this is not, I think we can all agree, that's not what the SDG space is. The development space is messy. It has a fuzzy logic of its own. So we need to think wisely about how we can land AI in the SDG space. So thinking wisely about the opportunities, and also, more importantly, thinking about enablers. The SDGs benefits of AI are not going to happen automatically. They would need to be cultivated, just as we cultivate a field to get to some grain and mill it and then come to some bread that we can eat. So there are several stages to getting to that point. And one of the objectives of the advisory body has been to alert member states about what needs to be done, the kind of infrastructure that's needed, how you can do that in a low-cost manner, what kind of talent is needed, particularly cross-domain talent. So just focusing on computer science and AI is not going to get us to the SDGs benefits. The talent that sits across agriculture and AI, industry and AI, then data, because the current paradigm of AI is heavily based in large data sets, and there is, despite the availability of internet scale data, which may be helpful for training large language models, there is a paucity, there's a poverty of data sets in the SDG space. we don't have enough data, for instance, on climate change resilient agriculture, what's happening in the oceans in terms of biodiversity. And this is effort that requires international cooperation. Single states, single companies are not going to be able to do that. So there is an enabler side of it. And I want to conclude just by saying that I think New York now is heavily engaged on this. We've had a consensus resolution adopted recently, and another resolution is under discussion in terms of what is needed for capacity building. These are all good developments from the perspective of the Secretary General. I think we need to push more so that we can get greater international collaboration, greater understanding. So there are some things that we can only do together, and that's, I think, the focus in our discussion today. Concreteness, I have a favorite example, but I'll keep it for later. So I want to start by requesting Ms. Rola Dashsi, the Executive Secretary of the Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, ESQA, to join us. Rola, dear friend, you have the floor.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Amandeep. Excellencies, distinguished delegates and colleagues, I'm pleased to share today how ESQA is integrating the principles of UN 2.0 into our operational framework. This strategic alignment enhances our capacity to support member states more effectively, leveraging forward-thinking culture, digital transformation, and innovative approaches like artificial intelligence. We are committed to driving significant impact across our Arab region, advancing sustainable development goals through the adoption of intelligent technologies. To illustrate our progress and the tangible benefits of these initiatives, we have prepared a short video showcasing specific use cases of our work on AI. I hope they will be presenting the video.
We are at a pivotal moment where technology and policy intersect to create unprecedented opportunities for development and growth. The initiatives I will share today are not just examples of innovation. They are testimonials to how targeted AI applications can drive significant advancements in our member states. Let us delve into 4 specific AI-driven projects that ESQA has pioneered, which showcase our commitment to utilizing cutting-edge technology to address the most pressing development challenges, enhance policymaking, and ultimately improve lives. First, let's explore the AI policy assistant, Mustashar, a tool that functions as an intelligent research assistant, one that's been trained on over 2 million UN publications from 19 different UN agencies. Mustashar allows policymakers to interact using natural language to gain precise data-driven insights. This tool is revolutionizing how we access and utilize information, empowering decision-makers by simplifying complex data and providing policy advice for effective policy formulation. Next, we have a groundbreaking use case in optimizing domestic financing for the SDGs. By applying advanced AI to simulate and evaluate economic strategies, this tool focuses on maximizing the positive impacts on growth-related SDGs. It's about understanding the interplay between economic development and sustainability, providing insights that help tailor financial strategies to optimize both growth and sustainability outcomes. Our third example is ISPA. This tool uses AI and machine learning algorithms to help policymakers identify the most effective policy packages to improve their international rankings on various development indices. By simulating various policy scenarios and forecasting their potential impacts, ISPA allows for real-time strategy refinement, optimizing international index scores, and enabling proactive, tailored policymaking. Another pivotal innovation at ESQA is the AI-powered Data and Policy Support Hub. This comprehensive one-stop shop leverages advanced technologies to consolidate and continuously update a wealth of data and policy tools, all contextualized to meet the specific needs of each member state. Within the hub, each country-specific page displays an array of data collected not only from UN agencies, but also from our international partners. It includes a variety of decision support tools. This is crucial for ensuring improved economic and social outcomes that are in line with the SDGs. These examples illustrate our commitment to harnessing technology for sustainable development. Through our platforms, we ensure that the solutions are not only robust and accessible, but also meet the specific needs of our member states. We are dedicated to leveraging AI not just as a tool, but as a catalyst for real-world change in achieving the SDGs.
Thank you. Distinguished delegates and colleagues, I hope the video has effectively demonstrated the practical applications of AI in our work at ESQA. Further, I would like to highlight that the presenter in the video was not me in person, but it is my digital avatar. This use of AI in our communications is just another example of how we are embracing innovative technologies to enhance our engagement and operational efficiency. By adopting such advanced technological tools, ESQA aims to be at the forefront of digital transformation, supporting our member states more dynamically and responsively. Thank you for your attention and support as we continue our transformative endeavors to innovate for a sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that interesting presentation. And thank you for highlighting the contextual aspect of AI use in regions, in specific linguistic, political, and economic contexts. So let me now turn to our next speaker, who's also joining us online, I believe, Celeste Drake from the ILO, the International Labour Organization. Celeste, can you hear us? Are you able to switch your mic on?
I can. Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and colleagues, artificial intelligence is already impacting the world of work through various channels, creating both opportunities and risks. According to the ILO's research, artificial intelligence won't lead to a jobs apocalypse, but it will have a significant impact on working conditions, employment relations, and job quality, as well as recruitment. For these reasons, AI has a potentially profound impact on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth. At the same time, AI can potentially help accelerate progress towards the SDGs. In this context, I would like to share the specific application of AI to labor inspection, which is a key institution to enforce labor laws and has a critical role in relation to SDG 8.7 on eradicating forced and child labor and SDG 8.8 on promoting safe and secure working environments. How can AI augment labor inspection and ensure better enforcement of regulations that aim to improve not only occupational health and safety, but also address other labor law violations and non-compliance? In recent decades, labor inspectorates around the world have moved to a more strategic approach that draws on data and risk assessments to help target enforcement and promote compliance. AI now offers the possibility of further improving the effectiveness of these approaches. Let me turn to a specific example from an EU-funded ILO project in Albania. In 2021, the ILO and the Albanian Inspectorate of Labor and Social Services embarked on a joint effort to bolster the inspectorate's effectiveness in addressing undeclared work using the power of data mining and machine learning to develop a new risk assessment tool. This new tool draws from historical data to predict potential hotspots of undeclared work or other labor law and occupational safety and health violations. AI helps to spot labor law violation trends early, providing the government with a greater ability to prevent new schemes when they are in their embryonic phase. According to an ILO study as part of the project, the use of the risk assessment tool utilizing data mining and machine learning increases the predictive accuracy of undeclared and underdeclared work by 30% compared to the prior approach. The predictive power of this risk assessment tool is expected to only increase as more data is collected. To ensure that bias is reduced and new trends in employer behavior can be identified, the Albanian Labor Inspectorate is making sure that around 30% of its inspection visits are not planned based on AI predictions, but rather randomly or due to other grounds. It is not surprising that AI and predictive analytics are becoming common practice in many labor inspectorates. Lessons from this project include two key takeaways. First, it is important to actively involve the users in the development of the application of AI to the underlying task. And second, training of inspectors is critical. Together, these steps promote full ownership of the process and achieve the upskilling necessary for success. Therefore, as we see in all use cases for AI, it is critical that we do not take humans out of the loop. We need to employ these tools to improve the quality of labor inspections, but to augment rather than replace inspectors. We should keep these principles firmly in mind as we apply new technologies to additional cases, such as the use of AI in job matching and career guidance, which should be part of an integrated and coherent data strategy and not a replacement for people providing employment services. Having humans in the loop will also help identify and tackle potential biases in AI applications. The ILO recommends a human-centered approach to AI that recognizes both the opportunities and challenges that these technologies pose for the world of work. New approaches must take a comprehensive view of the benefits and risks, firmly based on evidence and social dialogue. Bringing in social partners assures grounding in the practicalities of the world of work and allows workers and employers a voice in their future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Celeste, for that exciting example. And you saw, distinguished audience, how getting the analog-digital interface right in this particular case, how the workflows are around labor inspections, the training capacity development of those inspectors helped maximize the use of AI. And there are similar examples emerging today on text inspections. So text collection, text to GDP ratios can actually be improved if you bring more predictive analytics into the assessment of text filings and the human aspect of those assessments. So we will continue with our deep dive into these concrete use cases of AI for the SDGs by turning now to Licia Norhonia, the Assistant Secretary General and Head of the UNEP office in New York. Licia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Amandeep. Mr. President, Excellencies, I'm very honored to be here this afternoon. As you've already heard, AI's potential to support the SDGs is vast and varied. The UN Environmental Programme has identified 5 domains where AI's impact is useful to enable the addressing of SDGs 6, 8, 12, 13, 14, and 15. I'm going to try and be as concrete as possible, since that's what our moderator asked us to do. First, SDG 8.4, in continuation with the SDG 8 that ILO was talking about, and SDG 12, both support resource efficiency, substitution, circular practice, and pollution reduction. As you know, unsustainable consumption and production drives a triple planetary crisis. And if you really want to make an impact on this, and as well as sustainable development, looking at SDG 8.4 and SDG 12 can be key to taking this forward. AI contributes to the efficiency, optimization, and substitution of natural resources in products and their supply chains. In agriculture, for example, AI-driven technologies optimize water, fertilizer, and pesticide usage in agriculture and maximize efficiency in renewable energy production. In smart buildings and even homes equipped with AI-powered smart devices are revolutionizing energy consumption. These smart devices learn from our habits to optimize heating, lighting, and energy use, significantly reducing the carbon footprints of homes and buildings. In minimizing pollution and targeting hotspots by pinpointing sources, an illustration is a sustainable consumption and production hotspot analysis tool, a collaborative effort between UNEP's Life Cycle Initiative, the One Planet Network, and the International Resource Panel, in partnership with the University of Vienna of Economics and Business, Cicero, and the University of Sydney. This tool is exploring how to harness the power of AI to trace environmental pressures and impacts throughout the supply chain of goods and services within a specific country, and aids in prioritizing national policies and transition plans. Secondly, AI is starting to enable a circular economy. Digital technologies such as tracking and design can help reduce the natural resources and materials used in products by big amounts. Some estimates are even to 90%, through efficiency and by turning products into services in a circular economy. Digital technologies and circular design can help reduce waste and detoxify supply chains. Through tracking and tracing products throughout their life cycle, it supports recycling processes, reduces waste, and encourages the reuse of materials. An example here is a digital product passport, which is powered by AI. Thirdly, through empowering green consumer behavior and lifestyles and supporting the achievement of SDG 12.8, choosing right. According to one study, although 69% of respondents were concerned about sustainability, when it comes to actually buying groceries, only 7% were actually buying sustainable products. Through apps and platforms that analyze personal consumption patterns, or through recommendation engines, smart filters, and gamification, AI can inform individuals about their environmental impact and help make right choices. In this regard, AI recommendation engines can help consumers compare and select products with the lowest environmental and climate footprint and help optimize transport and delivery. Providing sustainability information to consumers on e-commerce platforms is through a product UNEP released, which was guidelines for providing product sustainability information in e-commerce, which has 10 principles on how e-commerce platforms can communicate product sustainability information and encourage conscious decisions based on reliable claims. Fourth, AI can excel in environmental monitoring and risk prediction, which enables early warning systems for environmental crises. You heard this earlier in the example of flooding. SDG 6.1, SDG 13, 14, and 15 can get covered by these different environmental early warning systems. A prime example also in this case is the International Methane Emissions Observatory, which is hosted by UNEP, which employs AI to detect significant emissions of methane in the hotspots that follow. Additionally, in support of SDG 6.6.1, the Global Freshwater Ecosystems Explorer uses AI to monitor changes in global surface water from satellite images. This tool is vital for helping countries report progress on SDG Indicator 6.6.1, enhancing understanding and management of freshwater resources. The Flood and Drought Portal, developed by UNEP DHI Center in Denmark, aggregates and translates publicly available data from a range of sources, making it accessible to water authorities and helps them mitigate water-related disasters. Fifth, bridging environmental science, policy, action, and innovation, and democratizing access to environmental science. UNEP is currently testing a dedicated large language model which learns from authoritative and validated sources of environmental science as the basis for making policy recommendations. In conclusion, as we harness AI's capabilities to address the environmental challenges of our time, we must also guide its development with careful governance and ethical frameworks, as you've already heard, and make sure the footprints are well mitigated. In particular, we need to minimize the environmental impacts of AI itself in terms of energy, water, and minerals consumption, and the production of emissions and e-waste. We need to prevent AI models from being trained on poor quality climate data, misinformation, and fake news, what you've just heard in the previous session. UNEP's goal is to ensure that both the opportunities for digital technologies to accelerate climate and environmental action, as well as the risks that need to be addressed on e-waste, on energy demand, and hyperconsumption posed by digital technology. I would like to close by emphasizing how important the Global Digital Compact could be to address these questions and to provide us with a North Star of how AI could contribute to sustainability action, but also be sustainable in itself. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ligia, for underlining not only the exciting and diverse use cases in the environment space, but also the need for this comprehensive approach to governance, where we tackle the risks and seize the opportunities. We now go to the last speaker on this panel. That is Professor Roberto Morris, professor at the Catholic University of Chile. You have the floor, sir.
¿Sí? ¿Se escucha? Sí.
Good afternoon. I'm grateful to be here. Today I'll present some experiences in governance and territorial organization in dealing with uncertainty using collaborative models and cutting-edge technology. This period offers a critical opportunity for less advanced nations to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals by acquiring technology and building the skills to utilize it effectively. Our focus must be on training AI and educating ourselves to harness these tools to identify mistakes, lies, and others while thinking of the future that we can visualize now. In a world facing rapid changes driven by climate change, urbanization, and technology, we encounter unprecedented challenges. To adapt, we must leverage innovative tools like artificial intelligence. To advance the SDGs by ensuring an ethical, responsible, and inclusive deployment. As urban populations surge, Can you advance next to this there? Thank you. So, as urban populations surge, prioritizing people-centric approaches in decision-making is imperative. In this context, the key word is speed, and we'll need to learn to manage time, especially as we see everything is happening so quickly, and we haven't even gotten to quantum computing. Next, in Chile, we're seeking to be leaders in transformative technology. X's Tapestry project is an example, which we are developing with our national electricity utility to revolutionize our electric grid management. With 63% renewable energy and a goal of complete decarbonization by 2050, the project emphasizes the need for transparency, efficiency, and resilience. This is crucial for integrating renewables and ensuring reliability. AI is key, optimizing distribution, predicting demand, and managing disruptions in real time to create a sustainable, adaptive energy infrastructure that supports our climate goals while delivering reliable power. Next, please. Currently, we're starting to deal with a critical challenge. Extreme heat. As climate change increases, the risks of water shortages, floods, and wildfires, effective management and adaptive infrastructure are essential for resilience. By integrating AI-powered sensors, predictive models, and early warning systems, we aim to safeguard vulnerable communities and guarantee equitable access to vital services. We understand that there is a link between extreme heat and people's health, but we need to manage it in a dynamic way. To build a better future, we must first be able to envision that future. Next, please. Our strategy focuses on developing Santiago's open digital twin, a sophisticated platform that will integrate diverse data streams, employing advanced analytics and providing immersive visualizations. Led by the Rockefeller Foundation and Dalberg Catalyst, this initiative leverages digital infrastructure for smart, data-driven decision-making, encourages community participation through interactive platforms, and facilitates sustainable urban development. Next. Now, a very important project that we're developing in the city of Santiago is the Regional Integrated Management Center, SEGIR, a joint initiative between the government of Santiago and the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile. It showcases the transformative power of data science and fostering inclusive territorial management. By effectively integrating data from a wide range of sources, SEGIR provides dynamic real-time insights. It also facilitates rapid scenario testing, which in turn accelerates decision-making processes, confirms assumptions, and confronts fake news. Next, please. To ensure the responsible deployment of technology, we have established a robust ethical and legal framework, an agile operational model, and expert advisory councils. It's important in order to take advantage of technology to have the necessary institutional technological infrastructure grounded in collaborative learning and continuous improvement. The idea is to incorporate a number of developments that already exist as part of this partnership. And lastly, collaborative spaces like Sidger Lab catalyze cross-disciplinary innovation, bridging science and practical solutions. 50 years after the military coup destroyed the socialist cybernetic experiment CyberSyn, this lab revitalizes its innovative spirit. By integrating data in novel ways, we can harness AI to drive inclusive urban transformation. Collective intelligence and open standards empower communities to co-create resilient, adaptive cities that leave no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Morris, for those remarks and highlighting the potential of AI in urban management and the cross-cutting approach that is often neglected when we start to look at specific SDGs, specific areas. One of the exciting potentials of AI in the SDG space could be how can we have more feedback loops, positive feedback loops across the different SDGs. And you see again many member states starting to think about what's the connection between data sitting in the Ministry of Agriculture, data related to food security, and data sitting in the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and a third ministry and a fourth ministry. So how do you make one intervention and then get 3 times the impact that you would have had you taken a siloed approach? So with the panel having concluded its interventions, I hand the floor back to you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you very much, Amandeep, for ably chairing this meeting, and thank the panelists for their presentation. And dear colleagues, I now open the floor for the interactive discussions, and those who are wishing to speak, please indicate your will by pressing the button. And I would like to remind speakers of the time limit of 3 minutes for intervention in order to give all those wishing to speak the opportunity to do so. And group statements will be limited to 4 minutes. And please note that given the limited time available and in order to hear from all those wishing to take the floor, the microphone will be automatically muted when the allotted time has elapsed. This is in the interest of hearing all inscribed speakers. I thank you for your understanding. And now let us listen to hear from the first discussant on this panel. And I am pleased to give the floor to His Excellency Luke Goh, Second Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs of Singapore. You have the floor, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, moderators, and the panel speakers. It's really encouraging and enlightening, the presentations that have been shared. Much has been said about the need to redouble our efforts to attain the SDGs, and we do believe that AI can greatly catalyze for global transformation across sectors and hold significant potential in unlocking new opportunities to achieve the SDGs. There are many use cases, we have already heard some of them, and these are across so many areas, from health, climate, food security, all of which can help us take us to the target of SDGs. In health, for example, Singapore has developed deep learning system to detect major eye conditions from retina photographs, and that is faster, more accurate than human graders. In climate, there are AI models now to predict and mitigate extreme rainfall events in different parts of the world, including Singapore. And this is an increasingly common occurrence in the tropics, where extreme rainfall happens because of climate change, and then there is damage, and by being able to predict and mitigate it, we are better able to protect the people and also the infrastructure. On food security, fish farms are tapping on AI to monitor and optimize fish growth to maximize productivity. And this is all the more important for those with land and manpower constraints. Now, we have also launched, in order to facilitate the development of solutions, we have launched what we call innovation sandboxes to identify and to explore ways to apply generative AI across government agencies and enterprises without it being bogged down in the many different legacy regulatory domains. At the same time, we recognize that the increasing use of AI can generate new risks and harms. So we also need to address this. We suggest 3 key conditions essential to addressing them. First, to have the right safeguards and guidelines for the trusted and responsible use of AI. A practical and risk-based approach is needed, with focus on ensuring that governance principles can be implemented by innovators on the ground in an actionable way. A few years ago, Singapore released a model AI governance framework, which provides detailed and readily implementable guidance to private sector organizations so that they are able to take on board the key ethical and governance issues when deploying AI solutions. 2, we have to continue building trust and confidence for the responsible development of the use of AI. And this is needed to get as wide a buy-in as possible, taking in diverse viewpoints to formulate a common approach. And in this, the small and developing states have an important voice in co-charting our path ahead in the global commons. So to help more countries engage meaningfully in these discussions, the Digital Forum of Small States Force was launched to facilitate capacity building programs and sharing of relevant experiences among policymakers and regulators. So I think just quickly to conclude, if we manage well, AI can uplift our economies, enhance social impact, and in time, meet the needs and challenges of the challenges ahead. Thank you.
I thank the second Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs of Singapore for his statement, and I give the floor to the second discussant, Mr. Jorge Alberto Serra, Chief Executive Officer of Vision. You have the floor, sir.
Gracias, señor vicepresidente.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We're going to examine the case of the contribution of IAA against gender violence. AI against gender violence. Gender violence affects millions of women around the world, according to figures of the UN. Almost nearly 1 in 3 women have been victims of physical or sexual violence, and an average of 5 women or girls are killed every hour by someone in their own family. Despite the global effort to prevent and reduce gender-based violence, figures remain discouraging and unacceptable. This is largely due to a lack of interagency coordination, limited resources, a reactive rather than predictive approach, stigma, cultural barriers, and a lack of awareness and education. The eradication of gender-based violence requires a huge cultural change in all the sectors involved: health, education, economy, security, political, legislative, among others, and the coordinated effort of the entire social component. Due to the magnitude and complexity of the challenge, which involves the coordinated work of the state and society, artificial intelligence can help, among other things, in the early identification of cases, the prediction of risks, and the timely intervention. In the model of comprehensive care against gender-based violence, telephone helplines for women victims of violence are a main component. In this component, we're implementing AI tools as assistants to telemarketers. When initiating the call, AI analyzes the available information associated with the phone or caller and generates a summary that allows the operator to provide personalized attention. As the call is recorded, the AI transcribes and identifies patterns that alert the operator to relevant factors to consider in the conversation, e.g., example, the presence of a weapon in the home. Based on the information analyzed, the AI identifies risk patterns that help the telephone operator in the construction of the risk pattern and the choice of the action to be taken. At the end of the call, the history of care and actions carried out is updated. We consider this practical application as a first stage of a process of research and implementation of AI in all components of the comprehensive care model against gender-based violence. We have begun to experiment with its potential application in other areas of social protection, such as, for example, social registers, one-stop shops, social programs. We believe that a correct, ethical, and incremental application of this technology would reduce the gap between the current social situation and the achievement of the objectives of the 2030 Agenda. Thank you.
I thank the Chief Executive Officer of Vision, and now I open floor for discussions. And first I have in my list the representative of Spain, to be followed by Switzerland.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We consider that it's very important that we're holding this meeting today in the framework of the UN and ECOSOC, which is an appropriate forum to discuss topics of governance as well as issues that ensure development and inclusive deployment of artificial intelligence for the benefit of all, and we're grateful for the interventions of the panelists and the excellent examples they've provided. I would like to commend the draft that we're examining of the Global Digital Compact that situates sustainable development as the primary objective of international cooperation in the digital sphere, as well as the provisional report of the high-level advisory body of the Secretary General on artificial intelligence. So Spain fully subscribes to the principles in the interim report that is being developed and regarding international governance of artificial intelligence. And we also greatly value the proposal of international partnership for capacity building and to share the benefits of artificial intelligence. Spain is also working very actively with other states in the context of the United Nations. We're co-sponsoring resolutions of the General Assembly on the importance of artificial intelligence for SDGs presented by the United States, and we welcome the recent proposal of draft resolution on building capacities in the area of AI presented by China. Both initiatives should strengthen and develop objectives, principles, and initiatives that are adopted in the framework of the Global Compact. In the area of cooperation, Spain has allocated 5 million euros to the digital window of the joint fund of the SDGs. Its priority is coordinated action of the agencies of the UN system. Spain also supports the GIGA initiative to connect all schools around the world to internet by 2030, and GIGA uses artificial intelligence to map schools around the world and design effective connectivity infrastructure. So Spain is a country that supports cooperation in the area of artificial intelligence in the context of the UN to promote sustainable development, and we're firmly committed in putting this into practice through concrete initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before giving the floor to Switzerland, I just wanted to read out the remaining speakers for today afternoon: Switzerland, Russian Federation, Nigeria, Namibia, France, India, Israel, Indonesia, and Interpol. And Interpol will be the last speaker for this session. So next, Switzerland, to be followed by Russian Federation.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for giving me the floor. Switzerland welcomes the holding of this special meeting on a crucial topic for the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. The panel we just heard has clearly shown in a concrete way how we can do this. My remarks have to do with the first panel, so I won't read them out in their entirety, but allow me to just underscore that Switzerland commends the fact that the UN system is actively addressing AI-related issues through the Global Digital Compact, as well as through existing frameworks, including ECOSOC and subsidiary bodies in particular, as well as the HLAB recommendations and the efforts that are being made through the WSIS system. In the Council of Europe, we've also been addressing this issue in order to establish a legally binding framework. Mr. Vice President, let me simply, in the spirit of this panel about concrete examples, give you a few examples of how Switzerland is contributing to this discussion. We are working on AI governance. It's crucial to take action to reduce the digital divide. And so we have launched, in cooperation with 2 scientific research centers and academic partners, our international network for AI computing, which facilitates access for sustainable development, providing better access to AI resources. I'll stop here. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you very much. Теперь передаю слово представителю России.
Now give the floor to the Russian Federation. Thank you, President. AI is not just a technological breakthrough and innovation, it's technology that can become one of the key drivers of achieving sustainable development by 2030 for all. AI today is an effective assistant in almost all areas of life. Technology based on AI in the Russian Federation has been applied practically and will be applied by 2040, including in healthcare, education, urban planning and management, and citizen safety. Russian businesses and academic circles have developed a code of ethics for AI and recently signed a declaration on responsible development and use of AI. In the use of AI for the benefit of all, there are a number of obstacles. Developing countries have a great deal of potential when it comes to using AI technology, but often access to cutting-edge technologies is limited due to financial, technical, legal, and other restrictions. And this leads to inequality and hinders full-fledged development. The goal of the UN is to ensure access to technology and knowledge in the field of AI based on equitable, free, open access for all, and to allow developing countries to actively take part on an equal footing in the global innovation process, as well as to make their own decisions and overcome challenges to development. It's only through the cooperation between states that we can ensure safe and responsible development of AI that can allow for the most successful and productive future for all.
Спасибо за ваше выступление.
Thank you very much.
By Namibia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, let me also, on behalf of my delegation, extend our thanks to the panelists for both in the previous session and now for their insightful presentations. My delegation aligns itself with the statement that was delivered by Burundi on behalf of the African Union in the previous session, and wish to deliver the following remarks in our national capacity if AI will not cut me off. Nigeria acknowledges the transformative potential of AI in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. As such, the government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Communication, Innovation, and Digital Economy, has developed a comprehensive national AI strategy focusing on creating job opportunities and enhancing productivity in healthcare, agriculture, and finance. To further this innovation, the government is providing significant support for all AI startups and researchers with initiatives designed to create 50,000 jobs in the AI sector by 2030. Addressing digital infrastructure and human capacity is also crucial. We are committed to enhancing connectivity and investing heavily in education and capacity building to prepare our workforce for the AI-driven economy. This involves extensive technical and vocational education programs and partnerships with global institutions to nurture a new generation of AI professionals. We have also launched initiatives like the Digital Skills for All programs, offering specialized training in rural and underserved areas to democratize access to AI technologies and provide scalable solutions to community-specific challenges. Mr. President, we also look forward to discussions on the Global Digital Compact and the African Digital Compact, frameworks that ensure AI and digital technologies foster a safe, equitable, and open digital future. In conclusion, Mr. President, we reaffirm our commitment to harnessing the full potential of AI to drive sustainable development and equitable growth. As AI continues to innovate and adapt, we seek active collaboration with international partners to realize these ambitions and create a resilient future for all. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Nigeria for his statement, and next I give the floor to the representative of Namibia. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, moderator, panelists, and distinguished delegates. In the previous session, I had wanted to highlight the human-centeredness and trustworthiness of AI with keeping the human in and on the loop, as well as consider the context-specific global governance development, and consider also the risk that countries without governance mechanisms pose for high-risk AI and AI weaponization development. However, for this panel, I want to share another use case for the SDGs in green hydrogen. Namibia is currently developing 3 green hydrogen valleys, and many African countries are also embarking on the same. What we have is that communities are expressing concern about green hydrogen and similar developments over the long term. So one of the things that we are looking at in collaboration with Freeport Saldanha in South Africa is to embark on developing a virtual visualization model of the impact of green hydrogen plants on communities, the environment, the economy, and of course considering climate change effects. This model will use extended reality and AI to model the changes over a period of about 30 years. We intend to make this modeling context-specific, as so many green hydrogen projects are springing up across Africa. The harvesting of various data across a variety of sources, specialized skills, and the required computing infrastructure are some of the challenges that we are navigating and addressing jointly with our Namibian and South African partners. We also see so many other uses of AI in green hydrogen that Namibia has established the Namibia Green Hydrogen Research Institute at one of our public universities, which has 6 centers, and one of these 6 centers is completely dedicated to AI applications in green hydrogen. We therefore invite other countries who want to also join us in this initiative to do so. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Namibia for her statement, and now I give the floor to the distinguished permanent representative of France, to be followed by India.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, President. Raising awareness about the breakthroughs made in the field of AI have led over the past few years to many initiatives in the UN. The SG brought together the high-level advisory committee as part of within the G7. There's the Hiroshima process leading to various common declarations on the development and regulation of AI systems. Last year, the UK organized a summit on the risks caused by AI. These initiatives are a continuation of work done over the past few years within Europe. We have a high-level group of experts established in 2017 that developed guidelines published on March 13th in the OECD. There's an observatory on AI policies, which was established in 2018, leading to the establishment of a number of directives and guidelines for classification of AI systems, as well as a platform to monitor AI incidents. These initiatives, of course, will continue. This year, UNESCO has organized a new summit on AI ethics in early February. And as for G7, the Italian presidency has placed on the agenda the topic of AI in the service of humanity and of workers in particular. In 2020, France and Canada together pledged to lay the groundwork for global governance through a global partnership on AI. Today, we have been joined by 28 countries as well as the EU. Our commitment is unwavering in all organizations, whether in the UN, OECD, G7, G20, or the EU. Based on our commitments, we have announced during the AI summit organized by the UK that France would be hosting the next summit in 2025. It will therefore take place in early 2025 in Paris and will focus on all of the current initiatives to contribute to building an open democratic global governance, because AI systems have to do with policy choices and must address the major challenges facing humanity. The summit we'll be hosting that represent our common international ambitions. It will ensure that AI serves the interest of humanity. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished permanent representative of France for his statement, and now I give the floor to the representative of India, to be followed by Israel.
Thank you, Chair. India has been pursuing a national strategy for artificial intelligence since 2018, which has enabled us to deploy AI for making progress on SDGs. I wish to share a few examples of such applications. In line with SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being, India set up an AI COVID help desk, which developed into the world's largest WhatsApp chatbot, handling millions of diverse queries in both English and Hindi since its launch in 2020. This AI-enabled help desk empowered citizens with the right steps to take precautionary measures for staying safe during COVID-19 pandemic, answered queries, and helped prevent the spread of false information. Another example is the Digital India Bhashini. In India, hundreds of languages are spoken, which makes knowledge sharing, skilling, and access to information a considerable challenge. This initiative aims to build speech-to-speech machine learning systems for various Indian languages and dialects, and evolve a unified language interface that will enable citizens to access digital services in their vernacular language, further increasing digital inclusion and accessibility. This addresses SDG 10, inclusivity, and reducing inequality. My third and final example is relevant for SDG 5, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. The Niramai Health Analytics, it is a deep tech startup launched in 2016, which stands for Non-Invasive Risk Assessment with Machine Intelligence. It provides complete hardware and software solution for breast cancer screening at a much earlier stage than traditional methods. Breast cancer is a leading cause of cancer deaths in women today. An early diagnosis is therefore critical to decrease mortality rates. This method of screening is low cost, accurate, automated, portable, and can be operated by a simple clinician. Unlike mammography, it is radiation-free, no-touch, pain-free, works for women of all ages. It has provided affordable, fast breast cancer screening at clinics in rural India. Chair, these are only 3 of the numerous examples of how India is harnessing the power of AI for advancing SDG, and we stand ready to share our experiences with our friends and partners. Thank you.
I thank the representative of India for his statement, and now I give the floor to the representative of Israel, to be followed by Indonesia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the panelists for this fascinating discussion. I would like to highlight several positive uses of AI that have been implemented in Israel recently, particularly in the field of climate and agriculture. These include automated harvesting and crop management, counting livestock using predictive systems, managing robotic beekeeping operations, detecting water leaks in pipelines, and rapid identification and characterization of fires. AI also plays a crucial role in predicting disasters such as fires, floods, and pandemics. Additionally, 9 government AI projects were recently recognized in a joint call by the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology and the National Digital Unit. These projects span various sectors and designed to enhance the quality of government services and streamline government operations. For instance, the Ministry of Transportation's project to reduce traffic congestion could be particularly relevant. Lastly, there are significant applications of AI in healthcare, such as decoding medical imaging and conducting specific medical tests, which can make healthcare services more accessible, especially in developing countries facing shortage of doctors and technicians. Recently, there has also been discussions on AI use in mental health, such as chatbots providing preliminary assessment and classification. This can be important, particularly in light of the workforce shortages. In Israel, healthcare funds are integrating AI to offer customized medical tests and procedures to clients. There are also discussions about using AI to automatically summarize medical appointments and enable doctors to focus more on their patients. We look forward to engaging with you all on these and to work together to harness these endless possibilities. We also joined the calls that were made here today for partnerships, and happy to work with colleagues to realize the potential of AI for sustainable development. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Israel for his statement and now invite the representative of Indonesia to be followed by the representative of Interpol.
Thank you, Mr. President, and also thank you to all panelists for the valuable and insightful presentations. With regards to the topic of the second session, Indonesia has been actively exploring the transformative potential of AI technologies to drive progress of the SDGs across various sectors. AI-driven data analytics have provided valuable insights to enhance public service delivery and social welfare programs, helps addressing SDGs related to poverty alleviation, quality education, and reduce inequalities. On the education part, for example, the use of AI could change the definition of education from what we think it is today. Education can be more personalized to maximize actual and interesting learning. AI-powered adaptive learning platforms can analyze student data on performance, strengths, weaknesses, and learning pace to provide personalized learning pathways. It has also become possible to identify talents at a much younger age and thus upskill these individuals with the AI technology. In addition, with the help of improved infrastructure of the internet to allow more meaningful connectivity, the AI-empowered education learning can reach more target, particularly in outermost areas. To conclude, Mr. President, by continuously exploring and scaling up innovative AI applications, Indonesia aims to build a more inclusive, resilient, and environmentally sustainable future to achieve the 2030 agenda. Aligned with this idea, our delegation welcomes all members to attend a joint side event by Indonesia, Bahrain, Dominican Republic, Libya, St. Lucia, and Tajikistan, as well as UNDP, ITU, and Blockchain Alliance Initiative in the sideline of SDI Forum entitled Making AI Possible for All Through Pooling Resources and Regional Collaboration that will take place on Thursday, May the 9th at 1:15 p.m. at Conference Room 11. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Indonesia for his statement and now invite the representative of Interpol.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, AI stands as a transformative force reshaping numerous aspects of our lives. While its potential benefits are evident, so too are the concerns it raises. Cybercrime and cyber-enabled crime is exploding, with artificial intelligence and metaverse making the criminal landscape more complex. More and more police around the world are registering artificially produced images of child abuse, blackmail series, improved ransomware attacks, or fake investment offers. Multilateral cooperation is required to tackle these dangers, and this is where Interpol provides a global platform for law enforcement in our 196 member countries to exchange and develop expertise. Interpol is also convinced that a responsible AI implementation demands robust governance frameworks and ethical safeguards to ensure its beneficial impact. From a law enforcement perspective, any wrongful or controversial use of AI systems poses a threat to human rights and societal trust in policing. Therefore, Interpol embraced the use of AI in policing, but remains steadfast in its commitment to doing so in a responsible way, rooted in principles of human rights and ethical standards. Last year, UNICRI and Interpol jointly released a toolkit for responsible AI innovation in law enforcement. This practical guide equips law enforcement with the necessary guidelines to integrate AI systems into their operations and institutionalize its responsible use. It's not just about adopting AI, it's about doing so with care and foresight. Responsible use of AI in policing is not merely a technical matter. It accelerates progress towards the SDGs. By leveraging AI responsibly, we address biases, mitigate inequalities, and ensure that no one is left behind in our pursuit of sustainable development. Indeed, stemming from Interpol's commitment to the Security Development Human Rights Nexus, Interpol developed 7 global policing goals aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. The global policing goals underpin the collective efforts of the international law enforcement community to create a safer and more sustainable world. This includes promoting good governance and ensuring that any use of new technology does not increase already existing inequalities or vulnerabilities of different groups. Excellencies, as the largest international police organization and key implementing partner of Agenda 2030, Interpol stands ready to support its member countries and partners in navigating the complexities of the digital era, shaping the future of global law enforcement for the benefit of present and future generations. I thank you.
I thank you. Dear colleagues, we have heard from the last speaker on my list, and I would like now turn to the moderator to facilitate key takeaways from each of the panelists and make concluding observations. Amandeep, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Akan. Thank you to everyone who participated in the debate. So may I request the panelists now to give their final remarks, and in the interest of time, just limit it to 1 minute. Our colleagues in online, it's perhaps very late for them, so let's see if they are still awake. But those on the podium, perhaps we can start with you, Professor Morris. We can reverse the order.
Bueno, diría que en general.
I would say that, generally speaking, the development of this type of technology has always been complex, and so I think that artificial intelligence will need to be an instrument that we need to harness as quickly as possible to deal with the complexity without damaging us, and we need to carry out a simplification, simplify things, but this perhaps will not be enough for the challenges that we're facing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for being so concise. And Lygia, over to you.
Thank you, Amandeep. To me, listening to everyone, it seems so clear that while the AI can hugely help the SDGs, it can also erode the SDGs if we are not careful, whether it's on inclusion, whether it is on the risks, or whether it's on the environmental footprints, it can pose a problem. So I would just exercise caution, as is the subject matter of today's session. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just connect with that in summing up the conversation. I think we have to be wise about AI use in the SDG space. So if we have thousands of models, AI models being developed around the world trying to do the same thing, you can imagine the drain on our limited resources, energy, water, materials. And if we have unwise use, things that could be done by simpler digital platforms or basic analog means, then again, we are wasting those resources. So we have to be very deliberate about how we use it. And then I think another theme that has come out quite clearly is that many member states are investing in use cases. They are putting resources behind this effort. But a lot of the world is struggling with basic forms of digital divide. And therefore, there is a need to help those who are struggling with building some capacity. If leading countries are investing in their own capacity for governance, both in terms of managing the risk, but also harnessing the opportunity, if they're investing in talent development, in compute resource, in the development of data sets and the foundation of the digital economy with the right data flows for AI, then it is incumbent upon us to think about those who are getting left behind and help them build some capacity to stay in the race. And then I think bringing it back to the discussions that are underway on the Global Digital Compact and in the context of the recommendations, the interim recommendation of the Secretary General's advisory body, the idea of a partnership. We've seen how contextual some of these use cases are, how linguistic data diversity, how trust and cooperation are important. So regional, national context are important. So a distributed capacity development approach is again something of a wise option to consider. And then we've also heard about some of these areas where the world needs to come together to build gold standard data sets to address critical SDGs challenges, and that may require some dedicated resources, some dedicated funding. This is not dissimilar to what has been done in other areas, and I was thinking of the example in Chile of the very large telescope and other areas where the world has come together in the common good, as the French ambassador reminded us, AI for the public interest. There is a national level of public interest and there's an international level of public interest that is captured in the SDGs framework. So today's discussion, and thanks to our panelists for bringing those concrete examples before us, has been very useful in this broader political context. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for this opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you, Mandeep. I thank our distinguished moderator for so skillfully and knowledgeably conducting the discussion, and I also thank our distinguished panelists for their very substantive and important contributions, as well as my thanks going to all delegations taking part in the discussions. Dear colleagues, I briefly pause this meeting for the podium to be rearranged for the closing segment of this session. Please remain seated.
Right here, ambassadors.
Invito ahora al vicepresidente del Consejo.
I now invite the Vice President of the Council and Permanent Representative of Canada to the United Nations, His Excellency Bob Rae, to deliver closing remarks.
Paula and friends, we've had a great opportunity to really reflect on what is one of the most important events taking place in the world today. We are at one and the same time lucky and also challenged. We're lucky because we have the opportunity to live in the middle of a revolution that will make an enormous difference to the future of the world. The more I hear and learn about artificial intelligence and its impact, the more I realize that we're at the beginning of something really big that could, that whatever happens, it's going to have a major impact on the nature of the global economy and the nature of our societies. I think the discussions that we've had today are proof of the capacity of ECOSOC to convene, to bring people together, to allow for a conversation that will take us in a certain direction. But what I want to suggest to all of you today is that as important as it is for us to understand the preliminary assessment of what the impact of artificial intelligence is on the workplace, is on our workplace, on what we are able to do in the United Nations and in all of our agencies. For example, the predictive capacity of AI for looking at climate change models, the way in which it can improve access to education through personalized learning platforms, the way AI can streamline diagnosis and treatment in health, it can contribute to a lot of many significant advancements in human well-being. That's the positive side. That's what in a sense, that's what gives us the opportunity to see how much this revolution can affect us. But we also have to recognize the risks. And I think we heard some of that today as well. I think we heard very clearly that, and we've seen this since the growth of social media in particular, which, if you like, was really kind of the preliminary footprint of AI in many of our lives. But I think we also understand that social media has the ability to frame our thinking, to affect our intelligence, to affect our ability to respond to global events. It has the ability also to control us, to surveil us, to have an enormous impact on things that we've taken for granted for many years, like the value of our privacy, the value of human personality, the value of human dignity. So we really need to think through very carefully the policies that we develop to deal with this. I want to provide my thanks to all of those who've been involved, particularly to our president, who has continued with her outstanding work in pursuing artificial intelligence as a priority for ECOSOC. The one thing that Paula has managed to convince me of is that this priority can not only last for a year, and I can tell you will also be a priority of mine if, inshallah, I become the president of ECOSOC in the end of July. We need to continue this discussion. It's a discussion that can't just include governments, and that's been one of the things that Paula's tried to do, is bring together the private sector and the public sector, to bring together the innovators, the people who are making this happen. We need to understand that, like many revolutions, it's out of our control. We cannot direct it. We don't know enough about it. And the innovation that's taking place is so profound and happening so quickly that you have companies today that are now dedicating 10, 20% of their resources to advancing AI in their companies, when 5 years ago there was no such thing to do. They didn't do it, and now they're doing it. So we need to understand the pace in which it's happening. But we also need to understand the need to balance between innovation and regulation. And we have to recognize that while some countries have developed national strategies, most have not. And so we really have to use the international global system to assist countries in developing national strategies. This is perhaps just sort of the last couple of things I want to say. We need to understand that our political leaders at the nation-state level will have a deep interest in trying to figure out how can they harness this technology to the benefit of their own people, but also how can they regulate at a level that they can understand. I am one of those people who believes that global regulation is great in theory, but in practice it's difficult to do. And so we can't wait for the development of, quote, global standards in order to encourage governments to develop national standards. Because in order to be effective, the nation state has to take charge of how we move forward. But having said that, we desperately need international cooperation. And we need to intensify the cooperation so that the model of global governance that we establish will be realistic, nimble, will respond to the pace at which technological change is happening, and will also deal with the one big problem. The biggest problem we've faced in the global economy over the last 30 years has been inequality and the growth of inequality. Huge accumulation of wealth, many, many new companies growing up, making billions very quickly, but also allowing for a relatively small proportion of the global population to enrich itself. At the same time, as we know, many, many countries are struggling with all of the forces at work that have been so difficult. Climate change, COVID, everything that's happening around us has made it so difficult. And I think we have to recognize that there is a potential that this revolutionary tool will revolutionize inequality, will expand it more quickly and at a greater pace than we even could have ever imagined before. That, to me, is the big risk. And it is a risk which will affect the global community more than anything else. Because we all know around this room, we know the tensions and challenges that have been created by the inequality that's already started to happen in education, the inequality in access, the inequality in access to technology, the inequality in how we are able to develop, the pace at which some countries are advancing and other countries are falling further behind. In the next few months, we're going to be hearing from our friends in the SIDS and our friends in the LLDCs. And when we have those conversations, it will be difficult because they will be talking in a very particular way about, well, if this change is so wonderful and it's so exciting, then tell us how can it benefit us as opposed to simply leave us more vulnerable and potentially even further behind. And I think one of the fundamental objectives of the United Nations is to reduce the level of inequality. It is to create greater opportunities for those who are the furthest behind. And all the language we use about leaving no one behind, unfortunately, right now, we're leaving people behind every day. And it's difficult for governments to reverse that. So we need to figure out how do we create the policies that will actually empower the individual. My last point, think of the greatest invention of our time. I'm not promoting one company or another, but it's this thing, right? We also know how it's transformed because we have the ability, we have a computer in our hands. We have access to global information. We have access to more information than we've ever had before. The point is, what do we do with it? And how do we manage it better? And how do we make sure it works to our benefit? And I think that's one of the exciting things that we can figure out as we look at the changes that are underway in today's society. So thank you very, very much. I think the phrase that was used in Santiago was a good one. You know the one? No, you can't think of it. No. You were there. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. I thought that was a great line, and I used it. And the other thing I borrowed from my colleague from Kazakhstan, who yesterday in a conversation gave me a wonderful line, which I will steal from him, give it back to him. He said, it's important to have convening power, but you also have to have convincing power. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. We need to convene, but not just for the purpose of meeting. We need to convene for the purpose of convincing. And I think that's something we need to keep working on. Gracias.
Gracias a ti, estimado Bob.
Thank you very much, distinguished Bob. I'd like to thank Bob Ray, the Vice President of the Council. Before adjourning, I'd like to invite you all to the AI for Good Lab, which will take place tomorrow, 8th of May at 1:15 in Conference Room 12. The lab is being organized as a side event of the special meeting as well as of the STI Forum, which will commence the day after and will showcase opportunities and demos of AI being used to advance SDGs. The special meeting of the Council on Harnessing Artificial Intelligence for Sustainable Development Goals is now concluded. The meeting is adjourned.